Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are having a great day today. So I wanted to do like an advice Q&A with you guys. I put a post on my community page asking if you have any topics that you want some advice on, any issues that you're looking for. It could be anything about life, about makeup, about work, whatever you want. And you guys sent me the tea, the questions, the advice that you need. However, I also did get a lot of just general questions that weren't actually advice or weren't looking for advice, they were just questions in general. So I will try to answer as many as possible, but that's my explanation, because some of this is not necessarily advice, it's just a question, which is, you know, we're going to go with it. It's fine, it's fine. We're just going to go with what we've got. As always, I'm not going to say who asked it, just in case the person didn't want me to. So the first question is, how do I use all my products without letting them go bad? Like, I guess, you know, things like expiry dates running out, that kind of tea. So the first thing is that I don't keep anything that I don't like and don't use. If I don't like it, it leaves my house. I either sell it if it's new and I've hardly touched it, or I give it to a friend, or I actually will donate it if it's, you know, again, in a state at which I could do that. Everything else does get used. I don't pay any attention to expiry dates. I've never had anything go off. I think one foundation that was probably about 4 years old that started to separate slightly, but as far as powders and things like that, I pay no attention to expiry dates. Obviously that's a personal choice. I'm sure some people will have a heart attack that I've said that. It's up to you, obviously, if you listen to expiry dates on makeup or not. I don't. Almost everybody I've ever heard speak about it, as far as, you know, bloggers and things like that, don't either. It's about judging it and seeing for yourself. If it starts to stop performing, or it smells weird, or it looks weird, of course bin it. But personally, that's not really something that happens. I don't throw stuff out because it's gone past its expiry date. I just use it until it's all gone. That's my vibe. So next up, I've started my own beauty channel on YouTube and it's not growing. Do you have any advice on what helped you in the beginning? So I do have a whole video on getting started on YouTube, which I'll link down below for you, so I can go into more detail in that. My main bit of advice is to have zero expectations. That is the only thing you can do. I think if you have an expectation that you're going to launch your channel and you'll have 10,000 subscribers by the end of the week, you're only going to be disappointed and feel frustrated. YouTube is, especially in the beauty community, the communities that have been going for a long time, beauty, fitness, vloggers, family, you know, those diet, all those kinds of channels that have, you know, it's been going for a long time. There are millions, literally millions of channels. And you, when you start, are completely buried in the millions and millions of other established channels. It takes a very, very long time. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. So-and-so has only been going 3 months, she's got 1 million subs. It happens, it's very, very rare, but it happens that someone just takes off and flies because they are extremely unique, or they're offering something very different, or they've been given, you know, a platform. Maybe they've got a lot of followers on Instagram that they've brought over, or, you know, they know a much bigger YouTuber who's given them a shout out or something like that. But as far as starting from scratch on YouTube, unknown in the beauty community, growth is going to be a snail's pace. It is how it is. All you can do is, if you enjoy it, you want to do it, keep trying, keep putting about the best content you can put out. That's all you can do. The rest is not for you to control. Learn the trade, learn how to edit, learn how to make the best quality footage you can. That's what I did. I just like tried and got better and better at it. But as far as numbers, you can't control it. It will be slow. You know, I know people who've been going 3, 4, 5 years and have only just hit monetization level of like 1,000 subs. That is the most common outcome on YouTube getting started, is that you're going to see almost nothing in the first 4 or 5 years, and maybe ever. You know, there are lots of channels who go forever, never really reaching, you know, more than 1,000 or 2 or 3. So just know, I don't want, this is sounding really negative, I don't want to put you off and say don't bother, because if it's something you love and enjoy and you're passionate about, who cares how many subs you get? It's about, you know, doing something you love and enjoy and putting your passion out there. What I just want to say to you is, if you're striving and you only want to do this if you're going to get loads and loads of subscribers, just know it's not going to happen quickly. It's very unlikely it will. it's going to take a very, very, very long time. It is incredibly hard. The platform is completely saturated and fully flooded with millions and millions of channels. So it is going to take a huge length of time and effort and money and investment and everything else to get your channel moving at all. So yeah, I think the thing is to start with no expectations, appreciate the subs you do have, make the best content you can, and if it's going to happen, it will happen. But it isn't going to be quick. It is going to be a graft. It is going to take a lot of time. And even then, you know, a few hundred subscribers is actually a great achievement these days, because lots of people graft and are struggling to reach 100. So, you know, just celebrate your successes, enjoy it, but try to have, like, don't have these unrealistic expectations that you're just going to suddenly fly and take off, because unfortunately these days, as flooded as the platform is, it's not like it was 10 years ago. It is a whole different ballgame now. Next up, what's my best advice for a fat burning workout under 30 minutes? So very, very simple. For me, if I'm just trying to fat burn and I've got limited amount of time, it's intervals. So I will just keep it simple. If you've got any equipment, I have a cross trainer, I've got a treadmill, I've got a bike, I've got a rower, skipping rope, you can do it with. Anything you want, you can do it in the garden, sprints. Basically what you want to do is 30 seconds max, 30 seconds of rest, and just repeat that as many times as you've got the minutes. So if you've got a treadmill, run a max 30 seconds and then hop off onto the side of the treadmill and rest for 30 seconds, jump back on for 30, hop back off for 30. If you're on a cross trainer or a bike, then max for 30 seconds and then stop and rest for 30 seconds, max for 30 seconds, stop and rest for 30 seconds. You can do this with anything. You can do it with a skipping rope, just on the street running sprints. You can do it with things like, if you've got a minimum amount of space, you can do it with like press ups, squat thrusts, you can do it with, you know, squat jumps, things like that. You can do star jumps, anything that gets your heart rate going as max and as hard as you can for 30 seconds, rest for 30 seconds, and just do that for as long as the amount of time that you've got. And that is the best fat burner you can do. The simplest, you don't need equipment, you don't need anything, you don't even need much space. That's the best thing that I would advise for fat burning. What's my opinion on cosmetic surgery, Botox, etc.? I don't really have a huge opinion on it, honestly. I don't have any currently. I haven't ever had any cosmetic surgery or procedures. I certainly don't care or judge anybody else that does. I think that's great for them if that's what they want to do and they've got something that, you know, they are feeling self-conscious about or they feel like they want to change. I think that's absolutely fine. I just, for me, I've never, if I was, you know, won the lottery tomorrow, I might go and have a boob lift. You know, I've breastfed 2 babies, so my boobs are not in the same location they used to be. Does it bother me? No. Would I save up and go onto a payment plan for it? No. If I had, you know, a spare 10 grand lying around, maybe I would. But yeah, I don't really think about it that often, to be honest. Next up, what are my thoughts on faith and religion? Sometimes people don't like to share too much. Honestly, I'm not a religious person. I don't go to church regularly or anything like that. I've never been to a church service other than a wedding or a funeral. I'm more like a spiritual person in that way, but yes, I don't have, and my family doesn't have a like religious service that they attend or anything like that. Yeah, I guess I'm more of a sort of spiritual type of person than religious type of person. What do I think of the KonMari method? I don't think about it at all, honestly. Tidiness is not something that is high on my list of priorities. I have 2 young children and I'm definitely from the school of I want my kids to be kids. I don't want my children to feel like they can't make a mess, ultimately. Like, my house is always just full of fun and toys everywhere and there's colouring in going on and we've got about 100 balloons in my living room at the moment because we were just playing with them after a party, and I just want them to, like, you know, make a mess. I like them to learn to tidy up after themselves after they've finished and things like that. I keep my house, you know, fairly alright, but am I like trying to make everything look like a magazine? No. Does it bother me? No. I'm learning to just go with the flow. I have young kids. In 10 years' time, my house can be tidy. Right now, I'm not bothered. What high street makeup shops do I shop in for the most for affordable makeup? I don't actually go shopping for makeup very often. I do everything online, but as far as like more affordable brands, I pretty much get everything from Boots. I have a Boots fairly local to me, and I do like click and collect, so Boots is kind of the only place that I go really for affordable makeup because it's just easy. What do I think high-end makeup brand and skincare is the most beginner friendly? Do you know what the first one that jumped into my head was MAC, because I think they just have everything. They have incredible shade range. Although they are strictly speaking high-end, they are a more affordable high-end brand, if that makes sense. You know, their prices are not Armani. They're more of like a medium price brand. They do things like Back to MAC, where you can take 6 empties. They've always got incredibly helpful people there to help you decide what you want to buy. It's the first high-end brand that I ever bought from when I was at school. You know, I got a MAC eyeshadow and a MAC lipstick, and I was like, I'm a makeup artist now. But yeah, I just find everything there is easy to work with. It's not mega bucks. You can recycle with them and, you know, get free lipsticks and stuff like that. So I just think it's got a lot of accessibility as well. It's got literally everything. As far as skincare, the most affordable one that kind of does everything to me was The Ordinary, but I don't think it's that beginner friendly because I think a lot of the products are confusing and it's a bit overwhelming. I think Pixie is a great one, although as far as being very affordable, they are a little more than like your cheapest brands. But those are kind of the two that I thought of. But yeah, The Ordinary, although very affordable, can be daunting. I think Pixie has some great products, but a little more expensive, like in comparison to The Ordinary. What would I tell my 15 and 25-year-old self that would have made life easier? I think as far as when I was 15, the main thing is just that, you know, the things that are like feel like your life is over right now, you won't even remember in 10 years time. I think that's the biggest sort of lesson from like my teens. Just that, you know, you think your life is over because that person's not speaking to you, or that boyfriend broke up with you, or that boy doesn't know you exist, or, you know, you got a bad grade on your French SAT exam or something like that. The things that are like your life is over, in, you know, 5 years time even, you won't remember that happening. You won't remember that friend. You'll have a whole new load of friends. I just think those things that seem life ending at 15, just know in 10 years time they won't even be a dot on your memory. At 25, so what was I doing when I was 25? Oh, that was 10 years ago, so it was 2009. So I was just about, I was in between when I got married and when I got divorced. So I wasn't going for my divorce yet, I was about to. So that's where I was at when I was 25. And I think the main thing, it would be too late for me to tell myself not to marry that man. It would have already happened at 25. But what I would have probably told myself is that everything that happens to you in your life, those painful, agonizing, life-ruining moments, same thing at 15, they all teach you something. There are things that I'm forever scarred for that I've been through in my life. And I don't think of it as a bad thing. I feel like those scars have shaped me and, you know, have formed me into the person I am. They've allowed me to really know, appreciate and love what I have, because I know what the alternative is. So I think that's really it, is that, you know, I wouldn't tell myself anything that's going to stop things from happening or try and save myself from pain. I think it's about knowing that, you know, although pain is unpleasant, it's a necessary part of life, and it's a really growing part of life as well. It's you know, it's an education, this life stuff, isn't it? We all learn from it, and that's kind of all I would say really. So, have I ever had anyone close to me go distant on me, and what did I do? Definitely. I guess it's, you know, being ghosted. Yeah, that's happened to me, I'd say 3 or 4 times in my life, by, you know, people, very close friends who have just, you know, dropped me like a stone for whatever reason. I think for me, I am now, because of the things I've been through in my life, I'm a very closed book. I have my best friends, my family, and it's very hard to make it in as a newcomer into that circle of trust with me, and that's how I am. And so for me, if someone goes distances, if I feel that someone does not, you know, reciprocate my feeling for them, then I just let it go, honestly. If I feel like someone, you know, could take me or leave me, or isn't bothered about, you know, keeping in touch with me, or doesn't want to see me and spend time with me, then that door gets fully shut, and I just completely switch off. I just think for me, in order to protect myself and my heart from any more pain and things like that, then I just close the door and move on. I think that's all you really can do. I'm not in a place in my life where I'm trying to fight or force someone to be my friend if they don't want to be, or trying to change for anyone, or trying to make people like me. For me, if it's like, if I feel like I love you, you're an amazing person, I want to be your best friend, and I don't get that vibe back from you, if you are like, you know, trying to lose me in the club, then I take the hint. I just go fine, and I shut the door, and we are done. That's just how I'm. Pretty cutthroat. That's how I am. How can I advise you on looking after your hair from sun and sea? I go snorkeling during the week. My hair is long and transitioning into natural grey, and I would like to keep the condition and colour as healthy as possible. I don't do a huge amount to look after my hair, honestly. Obviously people think that, like, well, I used to be a swimmer, so I must know tips about keeping, like, taking care of my hair, but I never took care of my hair. I'm literally a shampoo and conditioner type of person. You can get hair protecting sprays in the supermarket. I've seen them in Boots. They have like a sun sea protectant spray. Maybe whack a bit of that on. A swimming hat, again, if you're just snorkeling, if you're not sort of diving or fully immersing, then a swimming hat will keep your hair, you know, nice and dry and safe. But yeah, I'm not really big on looking after my hair. In all honesty, I am really rubbish. I don't even cut it. I rarely cut it. What is the best water activity to do in England? For me, I am all about the outdoor swimming, lake swimming, all those kind of things. I think there's just such gorgeous lakes in the UK. We're not huge on water sports. Surfing is pretty popular here. I've never really surfed. But yeah, I just love things like lake swimming, natural water pool swimming. We've got some glorious locations for doing open water swimming in the UK, and I think it's on a sunny day. What more could you want? What are my favourite bronzers for olive skin? Creams, liquids and powders. I do have a whole video on my favourite bronzers. At the moment, for cream, I love the Chanel Soleil Tan de Chanel. I don't use liquid bronzers. Powders, I love the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil, Chocolate Gold Soleil bronzer. I love the new MAC ones from their Electric Wonder collection. I love the Marc Jacobs bronzer. I love all sorts of bronzers, all sorts of bronzers. How do I get myself out of a slump or being down? This is a great question. I'm all about like time for myself in that situation. If I'm struggling, if I'm feeling like anxious, I've got a lot weighing me down, I love to just go usually into the gym or go for a swim or something like that. It helps. Going for a walk. I think because I'm never on my own, I'm literally with my kids all the time, or I'm at work, or I'm, you know, with my whole family. I think just actually having time with your thoughts and yourself is really, really important and can be really, really healing. Even just getting in the bath and literally for like 3 hours, you know, watching, like, I put Netflix on my phone, do some skincare and just wallow with a cup of tea in the bath. That can be extremely healing, and definitely something that helps me if I'm feeling like really anxious and stuff like that. Next up, I'm fascinated by your swimming career. Can I talk about that? Do I still enjoy swimming, etc. So yeah, for me, I do enjoy swimming. I don't train anymore. I haven't trained since, you know, the day I quit. I think for me, the end of my swimming career was incredibly painful and traumatic, because it was what I did. It was my whole life. It was everything. And it pretty much ended because of, I guess, illness, an injury, in the last year of my swimming career, which in theory would have been the year that I should have gone to the Olympics. But because of everything that happened that year, that didn't happen. And so I was completely just devastated and heartbroken, and I didn't go near a swimming pool, in a swimming pool, for years afterwards. I don't have a huge amount of time. It's not like I swim every day anymore, but you know, I swim a lot on holiday. I swim every now and then. I swim every week with my kids, but like that's me being in the water with them rather than, you know, swimming laps. But yeah, I do enjoy it when I have the time. But yeah, the reasons that I don't, you know, I didn't carry on for longer was that it was like the end, like the worst ending of the love of your life that you can imagine. It was brutal. So yeah, I guess it kind of, you know, took the want out of me to carry on. But you know, I was never someone who loved training. For me, it was racing, it was competition. That was what I loved. So training was always like a necessity, a necessary part of that career. So yeah, I wouldn't train for fun, put it that way. Do I enjoy literature? I do. I don't get a huge amount of time to read. Recently I read the This Is Going to Hurt book, which is the book written by a A&E doctor who quit the business after his like first sort of few years, I think, in practice in as an A&E doctor. I loved that book. I like those kinds of, you know, real life books, real life crime. I love a bit of real life crime. I always load up my Kindle when I go on holiday, but that is literally the only time really I get to properly read. So yeah, I don't get a huge amount of time. Beautiful Lulu asks me, what do I love the most about myself? It's definitely that I feel like I'm a extremely loving mother. Like, I don't want to just say I'm a good mum, because I think, you know, hopefully most people think they're a good mum most days. But for me, I was never someone who was broody or wanted, you know, babies. I was never someone who was like, give me that baby. You know, if someone brings a baby into work, I was never like, let me hold your baby, I want to see the baby. I was always like, what do I do with it? That was me. So I guess when you're like that, you never really know, do I want kids? Am I going to be a good mother? I'm going to be a horrible mother who can't hold my own child in case it's sick on me. So you never really know. And I just think that as soon as I became a mum, I was just like, this is what life is for me. It's what it's all about. It's my number one favourite thing of life. I'm not someone who's necessarily like mega career driven, that I'm, you know, wanting to go straight back to work. I was like, I'll be a mum forever. If money was no object, I wouldn't work, I wouldn't do anything. I'd be more than happy just being a mum, because it's what I always wanted to be, and I just love it, and think that's my favourite thing about myself. Have I ever struggled with self-doubt, picking apart my appearance, comparing myself to others, etc.? Not really, honestly. I'm pretty easygoing with myself. I think like I've had issues, struggles with like, you know, after babies, being way bigger than I've ever used to being. Obviously being an athlete my whole life, I've been small, I've been slim, I've been fit. So post baby, I struggled with like, you know, how much bigger I had got and my shape changing. But honestly, I always felt like I had it under my control, and I knew I would get it back if I wanted to do that. So no, I definitely don't find it useful to compare myself to others. I just do not do that. Don't do that. What's the point? No point. I think, yeah, I just don't let those thoughts and feelings start up, really. They are no use to me. What are my 5 regrets from limited edition purchases? The first thing that jumped into my head was the Lisa Eldridge lipsticks. I also have a huge regret from the MAC Nutcracker collection. It was a face palette that had a copper blush, and I think it was Whisper of Guilt maybe in a duo. That was my worst ever mistake, not getting that. I just thought about it and procrastinated for so long that it had already sold out. I can't really think of anything else really that I have massive regret over. Those are the 2 that sort of sprung into my head, and I was like, I still think about them to this day. What beauty treatments do I get? I don't get any. Ever. I've had the odd massage in the last like 5 years, but yeah, as far as like facials, beauty treatments, I don't do it. I don't have time. I actually stopped going to the hairdressers because I couldn't stand having to like have 3 hours to go and do that. Yeah, I don't. If I was going to go to the spa, I'd much more like prefer to have like a massage, or I love having exfoliation body treatments than I would be to have like a facial or anything like that. Yeah, I don't really. Do I ever wonder about the purpose of your life and how do you create a meaningful and happy life? I don't really. I guess I feel like the purpose of my life is keeping my family, my babies healthy and happy, as well as myself. That for me is all the meaning and enjoyment and love that I need in life. I'm much more focused on staying in the moment and being present in the day to day and just enjoying every single day, rather than thinking about, you know, what's ahead, what's to come, what's the meaning of it all. I keep myself very present in the moment and just loving where I'm at. I think that's so important, to enjoy, value, appreciate everything that you have and are currently experiencing, and try not to wonder about what you're missing or what you should be doing or what's next, and just live, love and laugh in the moment. How do I manage stress and practice self-care? So I kind of answered that already. You know, time for yourself, something that once the kids have gone to bed, you go and you do for yourself, whether that's yoga or go to the gym or go for a swim or go read a book or get in the bath. I think that's really important, to make quality time with and for yourself. How long do I think I'll do YouTube is definitely just how long is a piece of string. I think for me it's mainly about, if it's no longer fun, if the fun is gone, if it becomes a chore, then I will stop. That's for me. I'm not like in my head thinking I want to get to this number, I'll carry on for X years. I think if it stops being fun, if it starts becoming a graft, it's the same approach I take with any of my jobs. I always said to myself with my job, if I start getting Monday dread, like if on Sunday I'm starting to dread Monday because I have to go to work, I will leave that job. And that's the same with YouTube. If I start to get dread for filming, if I start to feel like a chore, that'll be when I call it a day. What do I think about online dating? This is an interesting one. Is it something I would have done if I was single? My initial thought was to go, no, never, because I've never really dated. I think in the UK, dating is not as big of a thing as it is in the US. Like, we just don't date that much as you guys in the US do, in my opinion. I know with like Tinder and things like that, it's becoming more normal to date. But yeah, for me, I've only ever you know, had like been in relationships with people I've known first, whether they were my friend first or I met them through work. It would be my worst nightmare to go for dinner with a stranger. Let me just say that. It would terrify me. And now with all the like bad press and stories that you hear, I'd be thinking I'm definitely going to get murdered. So the fear would probably stop me. I would be too afraid. But then, having said that, I think if after my divorce I hadn't met my husband, I might have done, because I mean, I don't even know how well. It was a miracle that I met my husband. You know, we met through work very, like, quite quickly after my husband had left. We hadn't met before that point. I think if we already had, we'd have friend-zoned each other, because, you know, I was married. So I think the timing and the luck of that saved me, because I'd have probably spent the rest of my life alone. Or I would have probably then maybe given it a go. I just don't know. I don't know how I'd ever have met someone if not through work. So maybe I would have given it a go. I certainly don't think anyone's bad for doing it. I think flipping good for you if that's what you know, you're doing to get yourself out there meeting people. Because like, how do you even meet someone? Like, if you work in a job where everyone is married or, you know, older or something like that, like, where are you going to meet them in the supermarket? Unlikely. I mean, I do online shopping, so I wouldn't meet anyone in the supermarket because I avoid them like the plague. So there you have it. I think I answered every single person's question. I hope I did, and I hope those answers were satisfactory for you, and I haven't waffled on for far too long. I probably have, let's face it. Anyway, I hope to see you in a future video. Take care for now. Bye 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 bye.